Welcome to EIB and European Union funding session. I will tell you some extremely good news to the Finnish startups, growth companies and SMEs. I can ensure that from European Union, as from total, you have extremely many good funding opportunities which are not well enough known in Finland. And when they are not well enough known, they are not enough used. And that's something you have to be aware. So let's start with EIB and EU financing opportunities to Finnish SMEs. First of all, it's very important to all of you notice that European Union obviously has certain operational objectives which are extremely important, and I'm absolutely sure that we all sign those. So when you do the growth, when you are looking for financing, please note that European Union is looking for certain objectives. Sustainable growth and jobs in Europe. I think this is in most of our client cases that it's sustainable growth and jobs which we are creating and looking for. Then economic and social cohesion. So European Union likes cases where you have, for example, Eastern European countries, the former Eastern European countries and Finland together. So they try to have the equality inside European Union. Then, last but not least, the environmental sustainability. That's very important nowadays, as we all know. And it's climate actions, but it's also then very much to secure energy, efficient energy, renewable energy. All that is very, very important. And please note that when you do application to the European Union, it's very important that you also know the governance of the company. So the ownership structure, the management structure of the company, because usually EIB or European Union do not take a leading position or board membership. So that's why they want to ensure that the company is very well governed. I start with a very, very simple slide, and I would like you to notice, do not mind if the money is coming from European Investment Bank, European Investment Fund or European Commission. I can ensure it's enough you learn that it's European Union money which you are looking for. Okay, so European Union financing, 3 operators: European Investment Bank, European Investment Fund and European Commission. There are several hundreds of different kind of programs, so it's enough if you learn European Union financing. There are 3 different sorts of financing: debt, equity or equity-like, and grants. Very similar to the structure of those products of Team Finland. But please note, these products of European Union are Team Finland plus the European Union funding. So they supplement each other. First, from European Investment Bank, they have debt financing to SME companies, and they have equity or equity-like, I would call it equity-like financing to the SMEs. In Finland we have had several cases like Nosto 15 million, Frosmo 8.5 million, Maria DB 20 million, and all those cases had debt, junior debt, and then they had equity-like, which means capital loan part. Capital loan in Finnish, pääomalaina, can be included into equity. And also junior loans. Please note, banks include the junior loans to the equity when they when they calculate the equity ratio. So this is extremely good money, and we have already several companies in Finland who have reached that money. What kind of companies can have that money? I take this up later for the next picture. If we then go forward, European Investment Fund is giving guarantees, and they also fund funds. So several and most of the VCs in several VCs in Europe have European Investment Fund funding. So European Investment Fund is the biggest VC and seed fund and private equity investor here in Europe. So they put money into VCs and seed funds, but they do not go direct into the company. But similar rules, please note, when European Investment Fund gives money to a fund which is going to then finance your equity, they have similar type of objectives. So please note that governance is extremely important. But they have the grants, they have the guarantees to the financial intermediaries like banks or policy companies or funds. These financial guarantees are very much used here in Finland. We have several banks which have used these guarantees. These guarantees, it's 50%, which the company can have European Investment Fund guarantee, which is 50%. It's very cheap to the company, 0.5, and the price is included into the loan price. You can also have plus EIF guarantee. You can have Finvera guarantee on top of that, which is 30%. So altogether you have 50% European Investment Fund and you have 30% of Finvera. So actually the bank's own risk is only 20%. And this is the reason why the banks are able to fund growth companies and I would say companies which do not have stable revenue and income or results already. So this is very important here in Finland. I would say please contact Nordea, Aktia, Säästöpankit, all those Osuuspankit, they have these kind of programs. Then, which is also very much used here in Finland, is European Commission called Horizon 2020 or LIFE grants. These grants, you have several different type of grants. I will tell you a bit later about those. Okay, now you have a whole picture of European Union financing. I will then focus to this financing, to so-called quasi-equity financing from EIB direct to the company. And after that, I will concentrate to Horizon 2020, which is also very important. These two are the most important to SME companies, to startups companies, to growth companies and innovative companies. EIB growth capital financing, which we call quasi-equity plus senior or junior tranches. Why we call it quasi-equity? First of all, very often it has all the cases we have had, those cases I previously listed, you have had capital loan part, let's say the capital loan part, pääomalainaosuus, and then they have junior part. In some cases you are able to have senior loan part also. So if I go very fast through the terms, first of all, innovative and SME. I think all the companies we have met, more than 200 during these last 2 years, all of them are innovative. And it has to have less than 3,000 employees, and I can tell you none of our companies have more than 3,000 employees. The typical loan period is 5 years. But please note, it's a facility. It's a 3 years long facility. So if you sign it June 2018, you have year 2019, 20 and 21. So it's 3 years long facility. And let's say the loan amount is 15 million or the facility amount is 15 million. We can structure the loan what is best suitable to the company. So if it's 15 million, we can try to have a capital loan, for example, 5 million or perhaps 8 million, and the rest, let's say 10 million junior loan. And that 10 million can be divided into, let's say, 3 tranches. So the facility size can be from 7.5 million to 50 million. And I would like to give you now a very clear example. What is the background? Please note, like a company like Frosmo, which was the first company here in Finland who got this kind of capital loan element and the facility to, in that case, to 30 months. They had 8.5 million facility, out of that 3.5 million capital loan and 5 million junior loan tranches. But please note, the company's turnover year 2015 was 2.5 million, and during the summer 2016 EIB did facility of 8.5 million. So if you consider, here in Finland, I have been 40 years in financing. None of the banks has never done a deal where you have turnover 2.5 million and you get the facility of 8.5 million. And by the way, the company was still doing a negative result at that point. Okay, so the loan size from 7.5 to up to 50 million. So you notice it's an extremely big loan size you are able to achieve. If you are aiming to an amount of 50 million, then you have to have the costs during the next 3 years 100 million. So we put together the costs of next coming 3 years, so 19, 20, 21, and those costs should be, so it's operating expenses and capital expenditures should be altogether 100 million. And the EIB is ready to finance out of that 150 million. But please note, in most of those cases, you have also gathered equity more than 7.5 million. So the point which is very important, that you have to have gathered equity 7.5 million. That's the minimum amount you have to have gathered equity. If you want to reach a higher loan size, then I would say you have to gather equity like 20-25 million. The capital loan is priced with the warrants, it's not priced with the interest rate like here in Finland most of the cases. The warrant, what is the warrant? It's a proportion or ownership out of the percentage share out of the company. This dilutes less, the capital loan dilutes less the ownership of the companies, today's ownership compared to equity input. I would like to give you an example. If the company valuation is 100 million and someone invests 10 million equity, he gets 10% out of the company. In case of EIB investing capital loan of 10 million, they get between 5 and 6% out of the company. So it dilutes the ownership less than the equity investment. The annual interest rate of the junior loan is between 7 to 10%. So after the capital loan, the company has years roughly 3 more years time to take in the junior loan. To take in the junior loans, the company has to make up the milestones, but the company is able to decide those milestones, but EIB approves them. And collateral, please note, in junior quasi-equity you have non-collateral. If you have a quasi-equity plus senior, then the senior to the senior you have to have collateral. Okay, I told you about European Investment Bank, so-called quasi-equity program, mid-cap growth program, and now I will go into European Commission Horizon 2020 European Commission program. And these, please note, are grants. And grants are obviously extremely good money to the company. Compared to those grants which we are used to here in Finland from Tekes or Business Finland, European Union grants are basically much bigger, it's a bigger amount of money to the company. But obviously it's extremely difficult to get some of those grants. So the most used grant program here in Finland, I'm talking about the European Union selected EU grants for business development, Horizon 2020 SME instrument. This is close to market and scale up projects of a single SME or a consortium. Most of the companies first try to get this maximum 50,000 for feasibility of a business idea, to explore the feasibility of business idea. And that's quite easy, I would say, to get the 50,000. Which is then much more difficult to get is the phase 2, which is then grant up to 2.5 million. In Finland we have had companies like Go to Sleep and Velvo which have had this kind of a grant, but we have several companies in Finland which have gone through so that they got the phase 2 grant. Please note, European Union facilities, loan facilities, grant facilities, all of them are open. So your name will be published because this is public money, so it's clear that it has to be openly published. So all these names are openly published on European Union pages. So up to 2.5 million with 70% co-financing rate, and this is usually to individual company, but it can be also to a consortium, at least 3 entities from 3 countries. So this is a very good one to an individual company, but also to consortium where you have at least 3 members from 3 different countries. Which is also extremely good is so-called fast track to innovation. This fast track to innovation is mainly to companies which are close to market projects and which are already quite at that their process is so that they are already in a point where they start to go into the market. So it's the readiness of the market is so that you can call it close to the market. Thematic consortium applications, and this is a huge grant. It can be up to 20 million, but here it's more and less, it's always a consortium. Very often there are also from 3 different countries, and there are bigger companies and smaller companies, and there can be a research institute also. But these different type you have the SME phase 1, SME phase 2, and please note these are feasibility, business idea study, breakthrough innovation and international growth, the next one, and this one, close to market projects of consortium, the fast track. So there are, as you notice, several different kind of programs and objectives with these programs. So, and these also change. For example, these thematic consortium applications, they also change through the time. So you have to take a carefully look at what kind of possibilities you have at the moment to send in your application. But this one is stable. So phase 1 and phase 2 Horizon 2020 is stable. But then when we come to fast track innovation and thematic consortium, then you, especially with this thematic consortium application, you have to be aware what kind of programs European Union is having at the moment.